Welcome to the Purple Rock Survivor podcast, an hour filled with celebratory profanities this week. Actually, I'm just kidding. I think we're probably not doing the profanity thing again this week. I am John. My co-host is Andy, and we are going to spend the next hour talking about episode 5 of Survivor Game Changers. So sit back, pour yourself some tea, and delight in this episode with us.
Survivor is so awesome, isn't it? I love Survivor. I would never get upset with Survivor. I would never complain. Survivor is the best.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever complained about any season or episode of Survivor as far as I can recall.
There's certainly no evidence of such a thing. We certainly wouldn't spend an episode swearing about outcomes and fearing everything that will come for the rest of the season, because that would be short-sighted.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of fool would base their whole evaluation of a season on, 5-10 minutes of one episode?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be pretty stupid to say, watch it and be like, you know what? If only Sandra had gone home, everything would be better.
Only an idiot would have done such a thing, Andy. I can't imagine. If you search the Survivor community to find such a voice in the wilderness, I can't imagine it existed.
Well, I mean, let's be real, the Survivor community does have tons of morons, so every opinion is out there, but never anything you need to pay your attention would have been like, I would have been okay losing Sandra, because, oh my god, that was so awesome last night.
And to be clear, it's not like I was okay with losing Sandra last week, it was more that I'd made peace with it. Like, even though you're not happy about it, it's like you've just accepted it. That's how I was with Sandra. Mostly because it was so unlikely she was going to win. But I was not okay with losing Sandra, to be clear.
Yes. Yeah, Malcolm's awesome. We love Malcolm. He would have been great. He could have won. I don't know if he could have produced what we just saw. This was one of the most entertaining episodes in a long time. And it's solely because Sandra is the best. And I am somebody who has always been pro Sandra. I'm somebody who has led the charge about how great she is. And even I was in awe of the things she was doing.
Not only is Sandra the best, she serves as an amplifier for those around her that are good, such that she makes them better by being in her presence.
That's right. Michaela is an entertaining presence, obviously. Michaela powered by Sandra is next level. And to be clear, and we're going to get into this, and I guess we're already into it, while I was in awe of Sandra, I'm not of the schools like, oh wow, she's doing new stuff. It's just because, this isn't new. This is just, what she always does turned up to 11. She's gone from acoustic to electric, but it's still the same songs.
I feel like you're going to start me down a rant here that we should just sit on it just for a little bit, because I don't want to go there yet, but I'm really going to dig into that, because I have to. I just can't let it go.
It is on the breakdown, but we can't give you guys too much too soon. But I loved it. It was so awesome. From pretty much the midpoint on of the episode through to the end, I was sitting on my couch, just slack-jawed in awe. I literally did like the Wayne's World, bow, I'm not worthy, because that was some great, great Survivor.
Yeah, do you remember a few weeks ago when we eulogized Tony's game by saying that, back in Cagayan, we predicted that a lot of people would try and fail to emulate Tony? Kind of feel like Sandra is actually succeeding in emulating Tony. The way that she's dominating the game as the out in front target / shield / shot caller is just amazing. It's, as you said, it's kind of what Sandra's been, but just with a little zest added to it. Just a little something extra for you.
Yeah, I mean, she is her own meat shield. Like last week, that's what I was worried about. It's like, wow, a lot of meat shields are going, so then the other players that I really care about will be targeted more freely. But yeah, it's like, she doesn't need any. You know what? All you ex-winners, y'all can go. I'm just gonna be out in front, and everybody's gonna want to use me as the meat shield. And then she'll just beat people while doing that, which is, as you say, that's what happened with Tony. He was everybody in Cagayan's meat shield. Except he used them as his meat shields, and he used them to further his own game. And yeah, I mean, it's happening, and oh my god. I'm just gonna stutter. She's the queen, and I don't usually just like saying, basic phrases and, things you'd find on Tumblr or whatever, but like when it was over, all I could do is get on Twitter and swear at how amazing she is.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say that like everything that she does is some brilliant social ploy. I'm just saying like the stuff that she does, it's just like Tony. She does a lot of stuff. And then a surprising amount of it works really, really well. And I feel like we're getting to see, it's not even that we're getting to see, because we've always seen it. It's just much more like front and center this season, and I am digging it.
Yeah, so let's start with the sugar incident. And, that isn't referring to, say, something that happened in Ponderosa, Heroes versus Villains. Mm-hmm. The sugar incident of this season, just so fantastic. So she, decides that she can pick up. This is where she's always been good. This is why I think some people have overlooked her over the years, is that even herself, when she talks about her game, she usually just, says anyone but me, which obviously is a big part of it, but there's other things to it. And I'm not gonna come here and say, oh, it's because Sandra doesn't understand what she's good at. I think Sandra understands things better than most of us. It's just, as the wise old saying used to be, the game is to be sold, not told. She isn't going to be out here to tell everybody on podcasts how to play Survivor. She knows how and she's going to do it. But how it works is she's picking up on all the tensions out there. She recognizes that, the sands are shifting, that Malcolm went home, that she does want to get rid of JT, but, you'll note at the beginning of the episode, while she, talks about how, they had to find out somehow, and pointedly, makes clear that, it's probably about JT. She doesn't attack him. She doesn't come back from tribal council and, where's that snake, JT? She lets it sit for a bit, but she hasn't forgotten. And she sees this tension and she seizes the opportunity. She knows that, if I do just this little thing, then those two are going to fight with each other instead of anybody fighting with me, which results in the 5th episode where Sandra Diaz-Twine, 2-time winner, oh my god, could never win, is playing too far out ahead and putting out a target and should play under the radar. 0 votes! 0 votes! Not a single vote has been cast for her.
It's beautiful to watch exactly how adaptable she is. Because, losing Malcolm was not part of Sandra's grand scheme here. Like, she was probably devastated by that. But to Sandra, the game is never lost. Like, it's like, oh, okay, next plan. She just moves on as if it doesn't matter. And yet, like you said, she kept it in there. She's not letting it go. She's just putting it away for now because she's got to move on. She's got to do some other things. But it's just sitting back there. And then, bam, knife in JT's back. And beautifully so. Like, it had to be executed perfectly because the man could have saved himself and didn't. And that's, I don't want to give it all credit to her, but come on, a lot of that credit goes to her.
Yeah, and she doesn't know he has an idol, but clearly she's making moves with the possibility. And this isn't the first time this season that she's been, making moves to help protect against an idol. She voted for Aubrey instead of Tony in case Tony had an idol. So then there was 2 votes Aubrey, 8 votes Tony, or I guess, 7, I think, because, Sierra was already gone. No votes Sandra. Again, no votes Sandra. In the entire history of Sandra Diaz-Twine playing, she's only had 1 vote count against her ever.
Except all the ones that come for her at Final Tribal Council. Those counted big.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you talk about adaptability. Her original plan was to play with JT, was to play with Tony. And then Tony makes it kind of clear, Tony's going to be a problem. So Tony's got to go. JT is a problem. He's going to go. And that puts her, oh no, now they might lose challenges. She'll figure out a way. But getting back to the sugar, oh my god, it was just amazing. When as soon as she announces it, I'm like, oh, let's see this. Unlike, the pearl clutchers, and it'd be like, oh, that's evil. How could she ever expect to win when she takes people's food away from them without noticing?
No, hang on. We're just exalting in the glow of Sandra right here. We'll get to the haters. We'll get to them. Hang on.
And in that moment, when she starts doing it, I am Jeff Varner in this moment. And I loved the shot so much because you can see everything on his face, which is not hugely expressive. It isn't like a Michaela reaction or anything, but in his eyes and a little bit in his mouth, you see that he is afraid of her. He is amazed by her. He is in awe. He thinks this is amazing, delicious, and terrifying all in one moment. And, I was there for it.
It's that combination of I am in the presence of greatness and oh my God, I am so glad I'm not on the other side of this.
Yeah, I think that's right there. Like, I think he was already, aligned with her and stuff, but I think in that moment there, it's like, I will never make a move against this woman because she terrifies me. I'm going to be along for the ride and see how this goes. And full credit to Jeff Varner. She's actually a fantastic shield for him because, people think he's a big personality. He's not as big a personality as she is. He's a, threat, wanting to make moves, not like her. And I mean, he said this on Twitter. It's like, well, she's also somebody that would be targeted for being poor at challenges like he is. I actually think she's probably a little better at challenges, but at least it gives him a fighting chance.
Sure.
Yeah, so it starts, and then we start to see the fallout, and that's when I was just like, oh my God. She is so amazing because and obviously this is editing, but instantly they're sniping at each other and Sandra's in the clear at that moment. At that exact moment, I'm like, yeah, Sandra's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's the light the match, watch the flames go up behind you, walk away. The beauty about this is that not only did it work as strategy, it was entertaining as hell. It was a good move. Great job, Sandra, starting the conflict, whatever. But man, the TV that it gave us. Amazing.
Yeah. Breaking the fourth wall and smirking at the camera while it's all going down and JT's complaining. And like I say, when JT found that idol to start the episode, I'm like, oh no, Sandra!
Yep.
And then that happens, Sandra's good. We're good.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of fear, oh no, I don't really want to lose Michaela. It's like, I don't care. Anybody but Sandra. That's where I'm at now. I'll never suggest anything ever again. That would be very stupid too. Amazing TV, and it was a fantastic play. And then, as the episode starts to move to Tribal Council, just as it's starting to go, it's like, you know what? They might be blindsiding JT tonight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously they had the conversation, and he's like, oh, Varner's making his decision. But I'm like, I think they're playing against JT. And then when the Tribal Council's going on, and she drops that, pronoun, and she says, oh, we made our decision to keep him. Ooh, what an accident! Oh, she doesn't know what she's doing.
Oops, Freudian slip. How'd that come out?
Oh no, she gave it away. Oh well, I mean, it's, obviously she's picking JT. That's so fantastic. She is so amazing.
But, this is impulsive Sandra. She can't, she's wishy-washy. She just, anyone but me. She doesn't mastermind things. She doesn't plan things out.
No, she can never get out her target. That's not what she does.
No, she doesn't call the shots, Andy. That's not her game.
And, we're just gonna do it the whole time. But like this whole thing about, starting a conflict and then getting somebody else booted ahead of her. She did that in Heroes vs. Villains, and everybody who's wanted to deny that the whole time can go to hell. This is exactly what she did with Coach.
Yes. As you said earlier, all of this stuff is almost, I don't want to say everything she's been doing before, but a whole lot of it is. Oh, you're so impressed that she's making people feud over the food and exploiting that division. She did that in her very first season. And like you said, the whole thing where she gets involved, or she, makes people distrust each other, and then she says, I'm on your side, and so gets people with her against another target. That's exactly what she did with Russell and Coach. It's not new. We're just seeing it in a whole, spotlight. It's not just, a little scene, a little vignette here. It's the show, and what a show.
Yeah, and other people have pointed this out early, and it's becoming more true every week. This is the season where Survivor decided, you know what? Sandra is our main character. Those other seasons, she wasn't, because they had lightning rod characters. They had Rupert the Pirate. They had Russell Hantz. These are amazing characters, and Sandra works as a foil. Obviously, and then Johnny Fairplay, obviously, is the other one. This one, they're like, yeah, Sandra is the star. She very much is. And we see what she does just from a starring role. And yeah, is more out in front, and some of that's because she has to play out in front. She's not going to fool anybody. Look at the other two winners and how they did when they were trying to do similar things, if, in some cases, what they do before. People are coming for her anyway. So she's going to get you before you get her, which was always her MO. It's just before they weren't coming after her again. But getting back to the Coach thing, obviously, the detractors were always saying, no, that wasn't why. He wanted to perpetuate the myth of the female alliance because of what JT did. And it's like, yeah, She doesn't make things up out of nowhere. She didn't make up the fact that JT and Michaela weren't getting along, or that they were the people that were, possessive over the sugar. She took advantage of it. She kept whispering in their ears. JT in his exit interviews, which there aren't that many of for some reason. But in this one with Rob, when he finally saw the sugar thing, he's like, well, actually that makes a lot of sense, cause, I was over it early, but Sandra kept bringing it up. It's like, yeah, that's what she does.
Oh, she's so good. I'm gonna go ahead. This is my first straw man of the night. I'm sorry. I'm gonna telegraph it. It's coming. Here's your straw man. Cause I haven't even really seen this take, but I bet it exists. Cause as you said, terrible Survivor opinions abound. So all of you Edgic crowd that are like, oh, she's getting so much exposure now. What does this mean for Edgic purposes? You know why it's getting shown? Because it's so entertaining. Why would you not show this if this is what's happening? This is good TV. I don't care what it means as far as, is she getting a positive edit? Is she getting a villain edit? It doesn't matter. It's just good TV. Why would you not show this? Are you not going to show this because you don't want the audience to think that Sandra's mean? She had a confessional in Heroes vs. Villains where she was like, last time I was mean, this time I'm meaner. You're not convincing the audience that Sandra is a saint by not showing her.
Sandra, on the day that somebody talked about, just discovered that he lost his beloved grandmother and cried about it with his buddy, talked trash about him and tried to get him voted out of that contest. That is who Sandra is and always has been. No, but I should stop you there. I think we all know, and there's been enough evidence mounted, especially of late, that Survivor specifically edits his show either for or to mess with Edgicers. That's how it goes. So I understand their point here that they would only show this stuff that was amazing television because it says something about the edit and the scoring system in which it pertains. This is who they appeal to. The niche of the niche.
Yeah, the few thousand people that totally objectively categorize each person's gameplay and solve the mystery of the season within the first 5 episodes, except for those few times they don't, but those we can forgive because, come on, that wasn't really a real season. That was just Survivor fooling them.
Yeah, so they went out of their way to mess, and you were being incredibly generous with a few thousand. Really? We even think there's 1,000 people in the world doing Edgic, really? But certainly not multiple thousands. Okay, so good. Straw man number 1, check. Or it might be number 2. I might have gotten a couple in there.
It's so hard to keep track.
But seriously, if somebody wants to keep score, because then tallies is going to keep going up. All right, so we talked about how amazing it was, that her play. That the episode starts like bam, right away with her main rival, the guy who threw his game away just the night before to get rid of her, finding an idol, and it ends with that guy going home.
Good save.
And her not being in danger anytime out. Amazing. And we've hit upon it, and we should really highlight the entertainment portion of it, as you were saying. Because, how great was she at Tribal Council?
Sandra's not just there to steal all the shine. If you've got some shine in you, she's gonna let it shine. Like, Michaela was right there. Michaela's asking for a witness. Hey, did anybody see me do this? Sandra's like, got you. Yes, girl, you did. Did anybody see me do this? Yes, she did. Sandra will be your setup man. She'll be your wingman, or she'll take the stage. She's very flexible. She can take the spotlight for herself. She can share it. Whatever. She's adaptable. As I said, it's one of her greatest skills.
Yeah, no, look, she's got her Best Supporting Actress at Oscars already, and now she's going for lead, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't know how to play with the rest of her cast and go back and forth. Oh, yeah, I mean, that Tribal Council, and obviously it wasn't just her. But I think she sets the tone, and she's been setting the tone. This is probably a good time to talk about how amazing Michaela was in that moment too, as you started to allude to. Oh my God! The tea!
So, we hadn't really I don't feel like we had seen all that much of the Michaela that we'd seen last season yet, but it had to happen because a wise woman once said, "You can't contain greatness, Andy." And it came out, and again, Sandra's right there to amplify it. And the votes are about to be read. Michaela goes full on live action Twitter, grabs out the tea. She's getting her little glass of port, and all this time, we come back out and Probst is about to read the votes. Michaela's just calm as hell. Just like, go ahead, Probst. read away. And it was so beautiful to watch. Like, you can say that, yes, it was staged and blah, blah, blah. She's pandering to the cameras. Yeah. And it was really, really good.
Well, yeah, she's pandering to the cameras as, both her and Sandra continue to, say the same catchphrase as they vote people out.
Yep.
But I think she's also, channeling the anger that she's had to show JT up, which, started earlier in that conversation, as she, her call and response routine with Sandra, ending with a shut the F up. But, that was fantastic. And to get back to Sandra, when it's all said and done, she's like, oh yeah, I took the sugar. Like, oh my God.
And then they both laugh at it like, oh, that was you. Ah, girl, that was funny.
Yeah, you crazy. I had the unique experience, and maybe it's not unique, maybe you had this too, of having to try to explain what sipping the tea is to my non-internet wife.
Yes.
And as I'm trying to do that, it's like, well, it's this, thing that evolved from Kermit the Frog, and then like even trying to like explain the whole mentality of how memes work. And it's just like, you'll never get it. And I don't mean that in I'm not trying to patronize her. It's just like, it's a weird world that I live in when you're not around.
No, and it's funny too, because I end up like, I'll laugh at stuff on Twitter all the time, and my wife will ask me like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, it's stupid. That's how I do it. I don't bother trying to explain, because really the correct answer is it's just stupid and I find it funny. And now I kind of want this to be a continuing thing. Like, I want next week that there's some huge controversy and Michaela just pops up. She's like, don't let this distract you from the fact that Golden State Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. I want it to keep going. I need more of it.
Yeah, I've had that Twitter thing happen to me too. I laugh and it's like, I'm really truly not trying to keep anything from you. It would take me like 5 minutes to explain it to you. At the end, you won't find it funny because, divorced of all context, it probably isn't. But I spend way too much time here.
So yeah, Michaela, she sets it up. She's got her tea and the votes are coming. At that point, I don't remember seeing it, but I think partly it was because the camera was so tightly focused on Michaela. If you're JT, aren't you starting to wonder like, why does she seem so comfortable right now?
Yeah, in his exits, he's suggesting that he was cluing in at that point. I think also at that point, you're also kind of invested in yourself, maybe more than other people. And I mean, there would be nothing anybody could do at that point when the votes are being read. But even if he was able to pick up on it earlier, there was nothing he could do because he didn't have an idol in his possession.
That's right. He left it at camp, didn't even bother to get it. Such was the level of comfort that Sandra and crew instilled in him.
Yeah, I mean, just that. Just like forget all the other machinations and everything, but don't you ever forget all the other machinations you did. But just that. This was a guy who moved heaven and earth to get rid of her 3 nights previous. And now he's like, we good. Everything's fine. I'm not gonna go get that idol. And if you're wondering, whether that's the smart or dumb play, you can read People magazine and the official, propaganda arm of JT Thomas.
Oh, how dare you.
Oh, I freaking dare. And there will be more on that front. But yeah, that evidence alone tells you everything you need to know about her special skills in Survivor. That she could make him feel that secure and unworried about her is amazing.
So let's talk about her target there, the one that she so deftly manipulated. There's a whole lot of chatter going on this week, except for, as you noted in People magazine, that JT might have been doing some legacy ruining in this season. Where are you standing on that?
I see it. Like, I'm not typically that person. I think every season of Survivor is a different thing. Yeah, I'm certainly not somebody who's like, hey, somebody lost here. They must suck if they win somewhere else. Especially because, I try to argue the case in the more difficult one of, like, losing to winning. Yeah, and Survivor is such a huge game of variance. But we've had 2 examples of JT this way. They kind of like, it's like, how was he ever that other guy? And he was that other guy. I don't want to take it over. What this is making me feel more, than saying, oh, I guess JT wasn't any good. Cause he won. Of course he was good at something. Is maybe his competitors weren't very good. I think that's where I'm landing more. Is like, you know what? Maybe beating people in Tocantins wasn't as hard as we were assuming it was.
Oh, I think it kind of touches on something which we probably addressed like a week or two ago, JT's whole 3-season narrative just really reinforces the fact that luck matters a whole lot. As we said in Tokentines, he was very lucky that the Majority Alliance had enough cracks that he could just be like, sure, I'll sit here and let you guys implode. That'd be great. And the fact that as they were imploding, all credit went to JT, the nice guy who wasn't responsible for this. And I like JT. It's cool. It's all these other terrible people that are on my tribe that are pissing me off. You know, lucked out in that sense, because there's a lot of seasons where you could have gotten to the merge and then been like, cool, there's 3 of them left to pick off. Let's just get rid of them.
Well, and yeah, the merge itself, there was 4, and then they had another break. But, yeah, no, so I have a theory that is kind of, this is sprung from this whole re-examination of JT. And, I'll admit right now as a caveat, Tokentines is one of those seasons I actually remember less than other seasons. Because when it aired, I was like 18 seasons deep into Survivor, you know, straight, no breaks. And like structurally, Tokentines, there's really not much to it, right? It's, you know, it was a back to basic season. There was no swaps. I mean, Exile Island was a thing that happened, but it didn't matter at all, pretty much.
Even though they set up something that seemed like it would matter.
But it didn't, right? The idols never came into play. So there isn't like a lot of advanced gameplay even going on. The moments that stand out from that season are all character based, right?
Yep.
So for me, you know, 18 seasons in, craving something new, it didn't really deliver enough to kind of really stick into my head, especially because I'm somebody who tends to like get excited about developments in the game. So that's a little caveat that maybe I'm not 100% remembering everything, but trying to like examine the JT who dominated that season versus the JT we see here and in Heroes versus Villains. I kind of wonder what happened was Tokentines was almost just too easy. That he was able to, you know, in the early parts of the game, because his tribe lost more than they didn't, it was just simple things of like, okay, let's keep people strong and vote out people that are going to keep, you know, causing us to lose challenges. And the gameplay for him didn't get much more sophisticated than that. You know, he made his alliances, his core alliances with, you know, group of people that he could trust. All good things. The merge happens and he doesn't really have to do anything. As you were saying, the other tribe just wanted to do stuff. And so, yeah, and they're all like, hey, you want to help me vote people out? And the other party's like, hey, how about you help us vote out? And like all he and Steven really had to do. And then, you know, there's some good times when they, you know, coordinated and struck at the right times. But for the most part, they just had to just choose which people who were begging them to vote with them to go with. They never really had to like flip people or convince people. They just had to choose. So I think what's happened when he's come back, and, you know, to his full credit, they wanted to do that with him and then, you know, vote for him unanimously because they liked him so much. It was, you know, that he was just this charming figure. I think when he's come back, he's decided, I'm gonna play Survivor. I'm not just gonna kind of hang back. And like, he was the object that stood still while all the insane people bounced off and around him. He's like, I'm gonna do stuff. I'm gonna make moves. And that's not his forte. I don't think, yeah. If you look at both seasons, this one and that one, if he would have just stood there and let people do stuff with him, he would be fine. In Heroes versus Villains, he had enough people who wanted to work with him that he didn't need to mess it up. But no, he's like, oh, I'm going to get rid of this person. Then I'm going to bounce back here and bounce back here. Enough to that, yeah, the heroes weren't trusting him anymore. So then, you know, now he feels a little more insecure. They're losing some challenges. Again, if he would have just kind of held on to that idol as the biggest threat on the Heroes tribe, could have been all right, right? He didn't need to do something. It's like, no, I'm going to make a big move. I'm going to show people how I know how to play. And I know a lot of people attribute this to like, he wants to show that Steven wasn't the brains of the operation. I don't really think that's it, because I don't think JT spends a lot of time in circles where people are like, Steven Fishback, that's the player. Like, he's not an internet guy. He's not going on podcasts. I don't know if he knows that people even have that opinion.
You don't think he was on Survivor Sucks, refreshing the forum 5 times a day?
Pretty sure not. Like, today was his first appearance ever on Rob's podcast. Ever.
I wonder if Steven was there teaching him how to use Skype.
It's possible. I mean, something had to keep him too busy from going on know-it-alls. But, I'm sure it was travel. So yeah, and then you get here, it's the same deal. If all JT did, you know, after a bad beat, you know, a tough swap, was just sit back, vote with the other 5 people, let Sierra Dawn Thomas go. Malcolm's around to do this challenge instead of Jeff Varner, who's sitting on the sidelines. They lost by 1 target. You don't think Malcolm would have gotten them across that balance beam faster than Jeff Varner did to give them the extra time to hit that 1 target to keep them immune? Because I think he would have.
I agree.
Then it's a swap again. So all this, JT had to do whatever he could because he was in such a bad situation. He wasn't. It was fine. Just sit there and do the obvious thing and don't show us how, I'm going to play Survivor. I'm going to do all my moves. No, what you're good at is making people like you. And when you try to do all these moves, people don't like you anymore, JT.
So this is my very tepid defense of JT. I will defend JT for doing things that result in entertaining television. I don't know that they're necessarily good things for his game. We can debate the letter in heroes versus villains thing. But it's funny that now he's kind of entered the more of the like Abby Maria in Cambodia zone where it's just like, you just make moves and it's like, I don't understand why you do these things. They're very counterintuitive. And then, much like Abby Maria in Cambodia, she slays my favorites way too soon and it just makes me mad.
Why I judge more, and it sometimes sounds like hypocritical because I'm the guy's like, hey, do big things. I enjoy that. And will defend people that do some big things. He isn't the person that needs to do it. He can get by on the fact that people find him useful and likable. But when he tries to do things like that, it totally works against it. And suddenly he's a rat and people don't like him. And it's not just, loudmouth Sandra. They didn't like him on the Heroes Tribe because of all his flip-flopping. This is why, he felt extra pressure. When he comes up with his brilliant giving his idol away to somebody I've never met scheme, they're all like, I guess JT's gonna do that. I don't know about this. And not like those guys were mental giants on the Heroes Tribe.
They were not strategic masterminds there.
But yeah, it's like, you don't need to do any of those things. Just chill, man. Do what you did in Tocantins. Let other people do stupid stuff and watch it all bounce off of you. But I just feel like, and maybe it's because he's playing with house money, he just feels like, I'm going to do stuff now. Watch me. You guys are going to finally see JT play Survivor. And now I've seen it for a while, and it's like, don't play Survivor, JT. Just be the good old boy that people like.
Basically be young Keith is what you're saying?
Maybe that's what he was. And again, I don't want to take away his victory. And not just in that way of like, every winner deserves to win. Not like it was impressive, but it seems very situational. As more time has gone on. Less like, man, that guy is so charming. He could, convince anybody to do anything. It's like, he can convince crazy people to like him. It's starting to feel more like the truth. But when he's playing against other people with like legitimate motivation to win Survivor, he seems to do pretty poorly. And the last thing I'll say, because this is completely on brand, there's a season out there that everybody rightly denigrates as, uninteresting because all it was a bunch of stupid people bending over backwards to help one guy win. We don't call that season Tocantins, but should we?
Well, you see, the issue there is that there were 16 people in that season. There were just more in the season you're referring to. So that's just uncalled for. We can't have, it's fine if 15 people want to do it, but 17? No.
That's a bridge too far. And I was like, they were more entertaining people that were falling all over themselves to help JT win. But it's kind of, the parallel struck me today. And it's like, maybe that's what it was with JT, more than like just this indomitable charm and like, dominance over Survivor. It was just a bunch of people who came to be on Survivor for very different reasons. Cause it's not even like, as you said, they didn't blame him for targeting him. It's like, I don't even think they cared. They just didn't care. They blame Steven for targeting them, when JT is just like, I don't care. I like JT. It's cool. I hope he wins. People were literally saying they hope he wins. Even the Redemption Island people weren't saying that.
Yeah, I'm going to give Steven Fishback a pass, by the way, just because it's very on brand for him to stay loyal and write good things about JT. If he had ventured away from that, I would have been disappointed. Like, I get it. That's his buddy. Go ahead. Defend JT. Just do your thing, Steven. You get the pass here. Everybody else that wanted to defend JT, no. They have to answer to this stuff.
Honestly, I'm right there with you on that respect because, like, if any of my friends went on Survivor, I will not be objective in that scenario. Like, if you go, I'm going to criticize the crap out of you. But anybody else, if, Gouis is on there or, Saturday Night Palsy or something, I'll be like, no, that was cool. So, I get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that I would expect I would be disappointed if you didn't troll my game. See, like the people that watch or that listen to our podcast, that comment on our site, I want to see them succeed. I would enjoy insulting you the whole time, and vice versa. I would expect it. That's our dynamic. I would be like offended if it didn't continue.
Yeah, I would feel a little weird. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, we would be prepared for it because we would have been each other's loved ones, person, but.
As if either of us would ever make it to the loved ones challenge.
Look, lesser people than us have done it.
It's true. I'm going to Keith my way to the loved ones challenge.
So, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of my half-baked theory about JT and why there's such a disparate, thing. And like Legacy is just like, yeah, he did it, but maybe what he did wasn't as hard as we thought it was. And I'll say, the JT versus Sandra dynamic also kind of highlights one thing is, the two ends of the spectrum if you're a winner who comes back. And I gotta say, if you're watching and you're like, you're Earl Cole or I was gonna say you're Yule, but you're not watching in that case. If you're Kim and you see just not that he's losing, but the way JT is losing, the absolute face plants that he's doing. Maybe you think, you know what? I'm good. I'm just gonna sit back and be this, amazing winner now instead of going back and making a fool out of myself. But then there's Sandra. Like, oh man, I could do it. I could do it again and again.
As she told us in Heroes vs. Villains, this is her hustle. She's gonna go out, she's gonna run her game the way Sandra runs her game.
Has there been a former winner that's kind of embarrassed themselves to this degree, the way JT has? Like, obviously, every one of them but Sandra has lost. I guess Richard Hatch maybe might be the answer.
Oh. The thing is, like, there's been so few instances of former winners coming back that it's almost hard for them to embarrass themselves. And I think Survivor, just as a show, doesn't necessarily always want to tarnish those legacies. I think, if, and it won't happen, but if Michelle ever came back, they would just drag that, what little legacy there is. But if they have Tom Westman's back, they love Tom Westman. He gave them an amazing season of Survivor. They're not necessarily going to be quick to drag that legacy through the mud unless it's worth it for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, but like, they're not dragging JT. These are self-inflicted wounds, man.
He's doing it himself.
Alright, so we've gone after JT, defenders. And like, seriously, all I want to hear from you guys is how does a guy go from, I will put everything I have on the line here and endanger myself and my standing within this tribe to get rid of Sandra to, Sandra's fine, it's okay, I'll work with her.
And I trust her enough to not play my idol.
Yeah, and look, I'm not even attacking him too much about the idol thing because it's like, he got fooled by Sandra Diaz-Twine. It happens. It happens to a lot of people. The defense is that, it's really hard to get to and that, also draws eyeballs. I'll say, and it sounds like he climbed this huge hill and hit it up there because he knew Varner and Sandra couldn't even get up there. Nobody even knows the spot. You might be overthinking it, JT. Maybe you don't need to put it that far. It's just because it's I don't know if you need everybody to be completely surprised by your idol. Yes. Unless you're planning on using it to get rid of Sandra. You have the freaking tool. I'm not done, apparently. His whole mission, I gotta get rid of Sandra. It was there, man. All you had to do was vote for her. And the only way it doesn't happen is if they don't go after you. But frankly, make them go after you to get rid of Sandra. It'd be fantastic. Everything you then can put into motion. But no, he's going to show us how he can play. So yeah, we've gone after JT detractors. I don't feel like we've gone hard enough against the heretics.
Well, the quick little addendum to your point you just made, the excuse of, I couldn't go get the idol because it was really far away and it would have drawn attention to me. Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you're going to play it, it doesn't matter because what outcome's going to happen? You're still going to be immune because you're going to play the idol. So, flimsy excuse. I'm not going to accept that one.
No. Again, he should know that he's on the bottom. Even if he thinks that, Michaela's leapfrogged him, because obviously everybody else is going to hate her for the same reasons I do, which is a line he's still pushing. Which is God, dude, they were lying to you. They were lying to you about, I'm sure Michaela actually has annoyed a few people. I'm willing to talk about that to a degree. I think she's been a little bit, entitled in challenges. And some of it's understandable. She's probably better at it than they assume she is.
She's on a tribe with Sandra and Varner, so thinking of herself as the challenged beast of that team is pretty understandable.
Yeah, but, like Malcolm and, when he was around, JT, they're also pretty good. Aubrey's pretty good.
Sure.
So it's like, and sometimes you gotta share the ball. I get the impression she's not good at that.
Mm-hmm. She's more of a Kobe.
Yeah, I don't think that's speaking out of turn. I think she is somebody who is aggressive by nature in competitive situations. I don't even know where I'm going other than it's like, JT, you think you're on the bottom at all? Just wear that freaking idol. You don't need to hide it because then they're not going to vote for you at all. That gets you 2 tribal councils. And it's just like, but no, he's going to show us. JT Thomas is going to show the world that he plays Survivor stronger and better than everybody else. It's like, yeah, he does make it entertaining television by being the bozo.
All right. So let's put the period on the JT summary here and give us JT's all-time Survivor highlight, which we're doing for every player that gets voted out this season. So what is it for you? What is the legacy moment for JT in your mind?
I do feel like we should say good and bad, but I'm just going to stick with bad. Like, there's no way that it's not the Russell letter. Like, okay. That is his defining moment. It's unfortunate that it is, and this was his chance to, wipe that from the slate, and he did not. He underlined that son of a bitch. So, that is the first moment that would stick out. When you think about JT as a moment, if you think about his player, his personality, you might be a little more generous. But as a moment, the Russell letter can't be topped. Between
that letter, last week's tribal council, and his off-court activities, JT might have actually screwed more survivors than anyone since Ethan.
Ching.
Thank you. I actually had to write that one down because it was funny and it came to me during the day. I was like, wait a minute, I gotta get in a good dig here. But, people are pushing back too hard against JT. However, yes, you're right. The most memorable moment and JT's legacy moment is that letter. I will still say, fine. It was, you take your shot and you swing and miss. But just for, if you're looking back at Survivor highlight reels, that's going to be on there above any other JT moments, I think.
So then let's pick his best moment. Let's throw him a bone after I've been, burying him for 2 straight weeks. I think his best Survivor moment was in the final tribal council where he totally throws Steven under the bus. Where he's just like, oh my God, you would have voted against me. And it's just, hurt. And the whole jury's just like, yes.
Yeah. Boo! Evil Steven! Steven with his New York values.
Why would you do that to him? He's amazing. And Steven's just like, oh. And you can pause it and see the moment that Steven Fishbach's heart break. And he's on tilt for the rest of the time. He just doesn't know what to do with himself. And that's the JT that you're like, oh, he's a superior social player. He's not just some dumb country boy. And I should clarify, I don't think he's a dumb country guy. I think he has poor impulse control is what it seems to be. And some of it's just, as I posited, is maybe because he seems like he doesn't want to do the boring way. He wants to do the fun way. But I think that was his best moment.
Yeah. I would actually probably concur with that. I wasn't going to break it down to a good versus bad moment, but yeah, if I had to pick a shining moment for JT, yeah, it's probably that.
All right. So we danced around it. We've done a bit of it. Let's make the heretics burn a bit more about the Sandra thing.
All right. So you may remember after, I believe it was the premiere of this season, I regaled you with the tale of some random Redditor that just told me after the premiere that Sandra's playing like an idiot. She's making herself too big of a target. Oh, she's causing so much drama. How's that theory working out for you now, buddy?
Yeah, look, she could go home next because of some bad swap luck. And anybody who tries to retrofit see, I told you, is lying. Or, they're they might believe it, like Debbie believes things about herself, but it is dumb. She was always a big target. Look who's gone home this season. Everybody's a big target. Trying to play Survivor while avoiding a target when you are exceptional, it's kind of impossible. And I'll say, you were talking about a little random Redditor. I think this is like the entire Facebook page, maybe my wife's coworkers. I'm sorry that her excellence and her acknowledgement of her own excellence disturbs your pearl-clutching, wimpy worldview that, oh, no, you gotta be humble and, it's unladylike, go to hell. She is amazing. And I'm sorry that offends you and you would rather her play under the radar.
Yeah, and I think just people had ingrained in their head, because in the seasons that she was on, she was not the featured player. So they just assumed that she was under the radar. But no, it's because we saw a whole lot of Fairplay and Rupert, because why would we not see a whole lot of those two? And then in Heroes vs. Villains, we saw a whole lot of, well, a lot of people, but Russell for one, because again, why would you not show a whole lot of Russell in that season, regardless of what you think of him? So yeah, she's not the lead in those seasons. But I don't know that you would describe her game as under the radar, because if you go back and you look at the moments for which you remember Sandra, they're not really under the radar moments. She's not the most subtle of players.
If you want Russell gone, he gone. She said that. No, but she didn't do it. Doesn't matter. She was putting it out there. She was trying to make moves with people. They would, screw it up, and then she would come with another plan. She's trying to make moves. JT screws it up. She comes up with another plan. And yeah, I mean, obviously, I am not somebody who has a problem with arrogance, because, wow, that would be self-loathing. And so, the way she boldly, attacks Tony on his way out does not bother me. The way she, tells everybody that, you stick with me, I know how to get to day 39. Oh, no, she's putting a big target. No, she's acknowledging the elephant in the room and using it. She is robbing that of its power by assuming it for herself. And so those people I have no time for. There's another, group of fans that I don't have much time for, and that is the Johnny-come-latelys. The people who are like, oh, well, now Sandra knows how to play Survivor.
Yeah, well, because she's changed her game this time around, Andy. See, this is a whole new Sandra. As I'm just beating this dead horse. I'm so angry at these people.
Admit when you're wrong, and I know that's stupid coming from me, but I actually do it sometimes, and then I find a way to twist it so that I wasn't that wrong. Yeah. But it's like, you were wrong. She wasn't what you thought she was before. She was this, and it was awesome then, it was awesome now. We knew it, you and I, the dedicated followers knew it, and it's time for us to bask. Because now they're all like, oh, this is the first time that I've seen her make moves like this. It's like, no, you just have to, you've made a name for yourself. You've, formed this worldview that, I'm the person who speaks truth to power and says that Sandra is no good at this. Like, interestingly, some of those people came into this season, and almost uniformly in their exit interview, she's like, Sandra is a god. It's not because she's just learned how to play Survivor. Like, imagine what kind of person you need to be to assume that the most random game in the world was won twice by somebody, and you'd be like, look.
And, I mean, just think of the people that are telling you that Sandra deserves that title of queen. Malcolm? Tony? Caleb, who has never seen Survivor before and was like, holy hell, this woman's good, despite the preconceived notions that he had before going out there. And even Troy, wonderful, sweet, dong-flapping Troy, had a confessional where he was like, man, I'm really seeing how Sandra's good at this game. Like, I didn't see it before. Even Troy, who could not appreciate Kim's greatness, can say, oh yeah, I see Sandra's really good at Survivor.
And that's this season. There's past season, Parvati, Tyson, Rob, they've all come out and said it. I mean, Rob has said that he would have voted for Parvati, and that doesn't mean that he's disrespecting necessarily Sandra, more that, that's the kind of guy he is necessarily. Also, he wouldn't have. He would have voted for Sandra.
Yep.
And then who's on the other side? It's Johnny Fairplay. It's Russell Hantz. Which side do you want to be on, world?
Yeah, exactly. Consider who you're lumping yourself in with. I should point out, when we had our Ultimate Survivor tournament, this was our winner, Sandra Diaz-Twine. And that was 2 years ago, when the prospect of her coming back again seemed pretty slim, because why would she? And yet, here we are.
The answer is because she deserves a victory lap. And I tweeted this, and I mean it, if she gets voted out. And I'm making that a big if. They should give her a standing ovation either when she goes out or if she comes out for the jury box. She has earned that.
She's getting one from me either way.
So, yeah, regardless of what happens after this season, I felt like this episode definitely had to be, a victory lap for Sandra and for, her supporters, us. There was some other stuff this episode at the front of the episode. So Debbie's crazy. Who knew that, huh?
I have so little interest in Debbie. Some parts of it also feel a little contrived, which is what I think bothers me. But it's also insanity, and just most importantly, it's that second season Coach thing. I thought Coach was fairly entertaining in Tocantins because he was not remotely self-aware. Now Debbie, having seen herself on TV, is doing the exact same stuff that Coach did when he came back that drove me insane, because he's just so interested in being Coach on TV. And Debbie's doing the same thing. She's like, I'm gonna go be Debbie now. Look at me being Debbie. I don't think it's all an act, but it's just amplifying the awfulness that she already is. And I'm not interested in seeing it. I don't care. I wanted her gone so long ago, and it hasn't happened, and it needs to happen soon.
Yeah, I mean, even more than second season Coach, this is second season Philip, right? Coming in with all the nicknames planned and all that stuff.
Yep.
So there's definitely that. And I think you see that, in the way that, she, amplifies and yells at the end of confessional, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But I also think that, this is a, mentally disturbed person that we were seeing. Obviously I can't diagnose from my couch, an edited material. But that's how I felt watching it. And it moved from the, she's the kooky lady with the chyrons about all her different jobs to we are seeing somebody whose mind does not perceive the world as it operates. And when she's sitting there saying that it took Haley 10 minutes and I zipped through for 30 seconds, I don't think that's just a liar trying to convince people, because, that would be insane. They were all there. I think in her mind, that is legitimately what happened. And this is how she perceives the world. And you just see that, and it shifts from funny to sad. And it's just this is how somebody has all these different jobs. This is how somebody, is criminally negligent at their job, is that they are broken in some way. And, she's a reality show contestant, right? So obviously there's some narcissism. That's how you get cast in many respects. But I think it's clinical with her, that the world that she sees, in both what's out there and what's in herself is different than what the world actually is. And that part, it felt sad. And as you say, it's not what I tune in for to see. But beyond the sad, I also think we see, and, as a continuation of things that we've saw, in the interviews before the season, this woman hates women. She just does. And her attacks against Haley was, about Debbie being unable to see faults into herself to the point where she just tricks her own mind. And B, that pretty girl bugs me and I'm going to attack her.
All these things just go back to my preseason point of she's not worth it. And Brad and Ty and Haley, they all tried to manage Debbie and make the situation better and fix this. Just don't fix it. Vote her out. It's not worth it. There's no rebound from this in which you get perfectly normal Debbie to work with that's a loyal ally and you can predict and count on. That's not an outcome that's going to happen. So just cut your ties. There's no hope of getting to the other side.
Speaking of Ty, this is a person who loves all living things, who doesn't want you to hurt the bees and the insects, sees the positive in everybody. His positive defense of Debbie was, this is a crazy lady. That is where we're at. To your point, why bring her back? You guys had the best case scenario with Debbie. And they had to go back, especially this soon. Oh man, she was so great. This is what you get, man. You should have counted your lucky stars that you had that, eccentric, crazy lady, and then she wasn't around long enough to mess it up. Because she's only going to mess it up or go home right away. The best case scenario is they get rid of her and then she just can't do anything more. And this episode, at least they did generate the fun laugh of, a flashback, to really highlight how crazy she is. But other than that, it's just she could only screw things up. There could be a swap where suddenly Debbie is empowered and that will be the worst thing ever.
And so, to that point, should they have just thrown the challenge to get rid of her?
That's what I thought when I was watching it. It's just like, don't even compete, man. Like, you can't have this person around. She is, dead set opposed. Now, the only hope that they have, besides just like getting enough numbers so they could just get rid of her, is I imagine her mood swing. And maybe 3 days from now, she'll be back on board. But yeah, I would like, me personally, for my own mental health, I would not want to live with her for 3 days. It's not worth the emotional exhaustion that they're suffering just by being there to help, deal with this crazy person's ego. They're not licensed psychologists. They shouldn't have to put up with it.
Whereas you are diagnosing from your couch because, you are.
Yeah, I am. And I'll say, obviously, it could all be bull. That's how I felt watching it. And that's not how I want to feel. The last thing I want to feel while watching Survivor is like worrying about somebody as a human. Ugh.
Yeah. I'm not going to diagnose from my couch because I don't want them to take away my precious license. But let's move on to the other tribe. Because again, I'm bored of Debbie. Like, let's talk about Green. What little tiny bit of the Tavua tribe that we got. And oh, lucky me, it was a Troy scene. And we get to see Troy smoothly interacting with a woman the way Troy knows how to do. Because when she tells him, hey, act cool, like, we're just doing work, he just starts leaning a branch back and forth, as one does.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it amongst prominent podcasters. Sometimes you just got to bend those sticks back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
That's how sad it is. So, like, our one glimpse into what's going on in the Green is like the two people we could not care less about.
Right.
I'll say this for Sarah. She gets the confessional about, her, knowledge as a cop, and she knows when people are lying to her, all evidence in her Survivor history to, counter that. And then what's she talking about with Troy? Obviously, trying to keep her options open, have a lookout, but also, we'll go look for an idol.
Mm-hmm.
Her keen detective skills doesn't pick up on the fact that the person she's talking to is the guy with the idol.
Yeah, she's making a really good read right there. But as we discussed, though, it's probably hard to distinguish the idol in Troy's pants because,
It was literally in his shorts while she was talking, and she's already taught herself, stop looking, stop looking, stop looking.
Hey, just like I've been teaching myself. Yeah, so my only hope with this little scene that we got of those two is that it's a long shot, but just think of who we're dealing with here. Maybe it's possible that Sarah and Troy somehow convince themselves that they've got numbers and Troy can get blindsided with his idol. I just really hope that that's what that scene was setting up. Like that, if that's the payoff, I'm fine with that scene existing.
Yeah, it's possible. I feel like the more likely one is this is, teasing the story of why Sarah goes home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fearing that it's because we get this unholy alliance of like Sarah and Troy with, Debbie and Sierra Dawn Thomas. And then, but no, I'm not being negative. This is a glorious episode of Survivor. Survivor's the greatest!
Yeah, well, I mean, if that is the alliance that rises up, let's not forget that we could still have, I was going to say Sandra, Michaela, Varner, and Cirie, but as we discussed in the preseason preview, Sandra and Cirie got some beef. And judging from the preview, there's at least a chance we'll get to see Sandra and Cirie on the same tribe next week to see if that beef materializes.
Quick note about Cirie in her secret scene. She was all like, man, I was so disappointed that 2 people weren't going home. And she was hoping that it was 2 people from her former tribe. So, yeah, I think she would be interested in flipping. So maybe they could patch things up. Maybe we can get the super team together.
Oh, can you imagine a new Black Widows alliance and it's Cirie, Sandra, and Michaela and Aubrey? Who cares? Who cares who the 4th is? It's like 4th wheel. Doesn't matter. You got 3 solid wheels already. You could throw in whoever. It could be Sierra Dawn Thomas, and I'd be like, best alliance ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be Aubrey. I'll say, we got a lot more women left in the game than men. But that said, I don't want the dreaded women's alliance. Mostly because there's some dudes that I'm far more interested in than, the add-ons to that. We can have Varner in there. It doesn't have to be women. It just needs to be awesome people. Led by Sandra. All right. So next week, as you alluded, we are having another swap. I imagine it's 3-2. So we need to pick one person out of the remaining 15 people. We have no idea what configuration, who will win immunity, who will be on what tribe, who will be going to Exile Island. We don't have any of that. So just pick somebody.
And it's Debbie.
Debbie. Yep.
All right. Easy enough. Next. Hey, there one other thing, though, that was in the preview. I don't know if you caught this or not. But we got a former Survivor that's coming back next week. You know what my prediction is on this one?
Well, let's hear it.
I think you might need to send the wife and kids away so you can get some private time, because I think you might be getting some Boston Rob on your television.
Look, anytime Survivor is talking about, we're going to bring back somebody, it's like, does Rob have a new self-published book to talk about? It's an easy bet. And even when it ended, it was like, maybe it's Boston Rob. To which my wife was like, I hope it is. Because we share interests in this family.
Now you see why they got married.
We quickly rushed the ceremony and then went and watched Amber and Rob get married. It was that. We literally watched Rob and Amber get married, but not in that sequence. That was more for her than for me, just so we're clear.
Sure, justify it however you want to, buddy.
So, that's obviously a deep contender, and I'll say, I think that's exactly what's happening. Mike Hirsch on our site laid it out that, they're probably just bringing Boston Rob back to congratulate Ozzy for passing him. That is happening next episode, that Ozzy is passing Rob for most days ever played Survivor. So I think he's right. But I think it'd be more fun to wildly speculate on other possibilities. I think an easy one after this incredible episode focused on, one single, condiment. Maybe they decided it's time. It's time to bring back Sugar. JT's nowhere near around to trigger her. People are very excited about Sugar. We're bringing back Exile Island. Maybe it's Sugar Kuiper.
Okay. Now you mentioned Exile Island. This is a long shot, I admit. But what if we're actually bringing back Earl? You may recall Exile Island was once Earl's island. And maybe we're going to end up with a scenario where he takes over his island from someone that had previously tried to claim an island. Who would that be in this cast? Oh, that's right. Troy. So if we just suddenly, hey, tap in, Earl's taking your place, Troy, later. There you go. That would be, admittedly, a long shot, but that would be an entertaining twist for me.
It is in Fiji.
That's what I'm saying. So Earl's Island is probably somewhere nearby.
Now, interesting you bring up, tapping in and taking somebody's spot, because that happened to start this season. Natalie Anderson cast, but, all reports suggest that, did not pass her physical because of getting a concussion. Maybe she's out of the concussion protocol, and it's time for her to come back, and Sierra's just like, I kept your spot warm. But like anybody who follows sports, no, you don't lose your job to injury, unless the backup is proven to be really awesome, and then we'll just find a reason. I don't think that's the case here. So maybe they're bringing Natalie Anderson back, and Sierra Dawn Thomas is just kind of like, here's the legacy advantage. I'll see you guys later. It's been real.
I mean, let's not also rule out the possibility that we get 2 people voted out next week, and that boat comes through, and stepping out of that boat, Sad Lil and Burton. The outcasts role coming back. They're just not even going to decide amongst previously voted out people in this season. We already know who the 2 best outcasts are. It's Lil and Burton, and they're just jumping in.
That would be a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
So there actually was a season of Survivor once where they did bring in a former Survivor as like a reward. In Survivor Israel, they were like, and here's your reward, Rupert, to show you how to be a survivor. And like, if we're calling back some classic moments, that's gotta be right up there, huh?
Yeah. Props to longtime friend of the show, Adam B, for being the first one that ever alerted me to that. And we found the, clip on, I think it was on YouTube. And wow, he is horrendously bad at it. And I think at first the people in the cast were like, oh wow, it's Rupert. They were excited. And then you could see within the 5-minute scene by the end, they're like, this guy?
She's gotten a lot of mention. She's gotten a lot of play in this episode. Isn't it time to bring Monica Culpepper? She's a neat lady.
The neatest of ladies, I hear. Anybody else that you think might come back?
they've sometimes brought back Rudy for, like reunion specials. Apparently they really like it. Maybe he can come and just like call 3 members of the cast queers. Like, who doesn't love that?
Oh, so funny. 'Cause he's old. See, that's why it's hilarious.
Like, in this day and age, what could be better than that? Oh, it's so quaint how he sometimes kind of treats them like people, but as long as we understand they're a certain kind of people. Actually, when I first saw it, I'm like, cool, they're bringing Mark the Chicken back to tie. Huh? Former Survivor. He's been in the title credits. It's Mark the Chicken. That's who I'm predicting.
Okay. And the actual answer is Boston Rob, but we will find that out next week. This week, however, you should be spending your time on purplerockpodcast.com. That's our website. We do a live blog for the show every week. Normally it's Matt. This week, we had one of our commenters fill in. M. She did a great job, and you can still see her live blog. Next week, it's going to go back to Matt, because, it's really Matt's gig. Join us in the comment section. Talk to us during the episode, after the episode, or if you want to talk to us on Twitter. Andy, where can they do that?
Purple Rock Pod for the show, Purple Rock Andy for me, Purple Rock John for you.
That's right. And if you wanted to subscribe to our show, you can of course do that. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, whatever other format or service that we're not yet aware of. Please alert us if there's one.
How can they support the show if they just love what we do?
So we are not out here to pander for your money. Instead, what we ask is that if you go shop at Amazon, you do it through a link on our site. And I'm going to give you advance warning because April's about to come around and Amazon's doing a ridiculous promotion thing where they're going to give us a larger percentage of your money if you click through a certain type of link that's going to appear in our posts, I think, maybe. Not really sure. It's going to be obnoxious. I'm just apologizing in advance for that. But if you could find it in your heart to just do that once or twice during the month, that'd be great because it helps pay for the site that we will never, ever, ever charge for. Anything else?
Let's hit some music.
That's what it's like when a woman wants a baby.